Good afternoon, it's Friday, May 23rd, 2025. Mental health is real. Seek help and the stigma. On the news this afternoon, Riversol Administrator announces plans to rehabilitate State Secretariat. Reactions as President Tinubu presents 2025 Rivers Budget to National Assembly. All Rivers emergency suits transferred from Port Harcourt to Abuja. NSA says oil production to resume in Ogoniland soon. On the foreign scene, over 108 trucks cross into Gaza as UN warns of race against time to reach the needy. I'm Ife Chukwumoyelu with the news. Now, the Rivers State Sole Administrator, retired Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas, says the government will soon begin phased rehabilitation of the State Secretariat. Administrator Ibas said this at the end of the fourth-day Transformational Leadership Training Workshop organized in collaboration with the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. The administrator said while training is vital, the physical work environment must also support productivity and excellence. He also promised to review public service welfare policies to better motivate civil servants.
Inspection of the State Secretariat, I deliberately took the long walk floor by floor, see firsthand the conditions under which our officers work. From erratic power supply, non-functional elevators, unsanitary conditions, to the lack of work tools. It was a sobering experience. It is clear that we cannot demand excellence from our workforce while neglecting the very basics. To this end, I'm pleased to inform you that we are working towards the phased rehabilitation of the State Secretariat and other public infrastructure. We are also reviewing other aspects of service welfare.
Now, the administrator also charged the local government council administrators to conduct detailed needs assessment in their councils and submit strategic plans for high-impact projects within 2 weeks.
Therefore, charge you all to go back to your various local governments areas and draw up strategic plans for targeted high-impact projects and initiatives that are based on the specific needs of the communities you serve and send to me within 2 weeks from today for consideration and approval. Furthermore, the Auditor General, local governments will be fully empowered to monitor closely the application of the resources that are being remitted to various local government councils. The people of Rivers State must get value for every kobo provided.
In her remarks, the acting head of service, Dr. Ian Brown, described the training as the first of its kind for Rivers State civil servants. Away from that, former federal lawmaker Senator Andrew Uchendu says due diligence may not have been followed in the transmission of the Rivers State budget proposal to the National Assembly. Speaking in an interview with our correspondent, Senator Uchendu wondered if the sole administrator, retired Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas, called for submission of proposals from the local government administrators or from other agencies, departments, and ministries before the budget was compiled, since there is no State House of Assembly.
But at my level as a citizen of the state, somebody who has served the House of Representatives and the Senator of the Federal Republic, as of now, I am not aware that any meeting like that has been called in my local government area or at the state level. However, because what we are facing is an aberration, possibly few contacts may have been made, and Mr. President has compiled his report. I have received a formal report from the sole administrator, and from there made a submission to the National Assembly.
Senator Uchendu appealed to President Bola Tinubu to lift the state of emergency in Rivers State following the alleged reconciliation between the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike and Governor Siminalayi Fubara.
And therefore, one will plead with Mr. President to hasten returning Rivers State into normalcy, lifting the state of emergency so that the proper things, proper procedures will be adopted. Let the governor be returned, let the House of Assembly be returned. I think that will be a better way so that there will be inclusivity. A situation where the state is being sequestrated from the 36 states of the Federation and treated differently is an unacceptable abnormality.
Similarly, a public affairs analyst, Opunabo Nkotaria, says that the transmission of a budget proposal for the Rivers State government to the National Assembly shows that the intention of the state of emergency is to milk the state's resources. Mr. Nkotaria, in an interview with our correspondent, also wondered why over 1.4 trillion naira is budgeted for mid-year, whereas the governor budgeted over 1.1 trillion naira for a full year.
The budget the governor signed for 1 year is less than what the president has sent to the assembly mid-year. So how do you justify that, if not for the scramble for our treasury, if not to leech on our treasury? That underscores the reason for the declaration of state of emergency. It has no business with security. So on what grounds? In the north, killings are going on daily basis, kidnappings are going on, bandits have taken over local government areas and so on. The state of emergency is yet to be declared there. I mean, it's flip-flop as far as I'm concerned, if not for the control of our resources. How to justify the solution of boards so that when there is reconciliation, they will force appointees on him and take over the structure.
Kotaria said the move may be a subtle way to accuse Governor Siminalayi Fubara of corruption. Also, a political scientist, Dr. Obin Nawodim, says the president's action may take the state backward.
It smacks of the question of how come the budget, because the budget is supposed to be a reflection of what the people want. The fact that the budget for Rivers State prepared by external bodies, then it becomes something of a source of concern to every Rivers person. Because for a state like Rivers State, it's worrisome. It's really worrisome. I'm getting worried. It's taking us many years back because the state is supposed to be moving towards a direction, given what was in the past. We are supposed to be moving forward.
Yesterday, President Bola Tinubu asked the National Assembly to approve a budget proposal of 1.48 trillion naira for the Rivers State government. In a letter to the Senate and read by the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, President Tinubu said the budget proposal became necessary since the Supreme Court nullified the state's 2025 budget and the fact that the state is currently under emergency rule. He also said 324 billion naira of the amount will be for infrastructure, 166 billion naira for health, 75.6 billion naira for education, and 31.4 billion naira for agriculture.
The spending plan prioritizes investment in critical sectors of the states such as infrastructure, health, including drugs for malaria and other common ailments, education, and also agriculture, which is projected to generate approximately 6,000 jobs. This is referred to the Ad hoc Committee on Emergency Rule in Rivers State, the Senate Ad hoc Committee, to revert to us as soon as practicable.
In another development, all matters filed against the declaration of the state of emergency in Rivers State have now been transferred to Abuja. Our correspondent, Eme Kotoka, who was in court yesterday, got the confirmation from a court official. Our correspondent also reports that the hearing of a suit filed by a Port Harcourt-based lawyer, Mr. Samuel Amatonjie, at the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt was among those moved to the Federal High Court in Abuja. Amatonjie told newsmen that he was only informed of the transfer when he arrived at the court yesterday.
I'm in court today, but shockingly, I discovered that the matter has been transferred pursuant to Order 49 of the Federal High Court Civil Procedural Rules. The matter has been transferred from Port Harcourt Division of the Federal High Court, where the matter was instituted, to the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. And I must say that in matters of this nature, which is of public interest, expeditious hearing ought to be the watchword. There's nothing stopping the matter going on from here. Because Federal High Court is one jurisdiction nationwide. There's no problem. On our part, we still do well to meet them at the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja.
Amatonjie also said he is challenging the declaration of the state of emergency in Rivers State by President Bola Tinubu because he believes it is unjust and must be properly examined in court.
First and foremost, he's supposed to be a sole administrator. The governor was suspended and not removed from office. And so the ESCO remains. But like most observers, this whole thing was orchestrated to whittle down the powers of the governor and also destroy the support he's getting from the people. The work of the administrator is just to maintain peace, if at all there was insecurity in the state. The whole problem had to do with the local government structure and the location. And that is what Nyesom Wike has been clamoring for. You cannot touch my structure. It is so unfortunate that the president is in cahoots with Nyesom Wike to carry out this undemocratic practice.
Also, a lawyer, Mr. Courage Nserumovu, who alongside Pelex Center for Civic Education Initiative instituted one of the cases in Port Harcourt in March, said they were only informed about the transfer of the suit to Abuja yesterday. Nserumovu expressed displeasure over the new development, saying it will incur more expenses on them. He accused the government of failing the people.
Now we have to look for resources to start going to Abuja to seek justice. And we know that this matter is time sensitive, given that the administrator has few days, months to still be in office. But that right to fair hearing, that right to access the court, they have also trampled on it. Rivers people should be informed about how they are manipulating our very weak institutions. Now, few persons, politicians, are now bigger than our courts. It's a problem. This is a time bomb ticking. They don't want us to be heard.
In another development, President Bola Tinubu says he's expecting more members of opposition political parties to join the APC before the 2027 general elections. He said this yesterday just as the Progressive Governors Forum, PGF, and the National Working Committee, NWC, of the party adopted him as their sole presidential candidate. Still to come, NSA announces resumption of oil production in Ogoniland soon. Stay with us.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
You're welcome back, and now the rest of the news. Senate President Godswill Akpabio and former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello would testify as witnesses during the defamation trial of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. The suspended lawmaker representing Kogi Central is being prosecuted by the federal government at the FCT High Court in Abuja and is the sole defendant in a suit filed on 16th May. She was alleged to have made defamatory remarks against Akpabio and Bello during a live television program. And now the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu says oil production will soon resume in Ogoniland after over 30 years of halting oil production. Ribadu spoke on Thursday during a presentation at the APC National Summit. Recall that President Bola Tinubu had announced plans to resume oil production in Ogoniland. In March, the Ogoni Dialogue Committee on the resumption of oil extraction in Ogoniland concluded its consultations and said it would soon submit its findings to the federal government. Ogoniland has faced several oil spills since the 1990s and significant environmental pollution and health risks for residents, leading to an eventual stoppage of drilling activities in 1993. In other news, some Port Harcourt residents are now reacting to the alarm raised by the Senate over the use of dangerous chemicals, especially calcium carbide, to ripen fruit. In an interview with our correspondent, they expressed anger over the practice. While some residents called for punishment of those involved, others suggest first educating the sellers, as not all may be aware of the health risks.
I buy banana, even orange, even the mangoes. It will show ripe, but when you eat, it's not being as though those fruits ripe by themselves. They taste another. It's just to inform them that they should stop it before any punishment will come to them.
Yeah, I think that these sellers should be punished. Some of these fruits that they use chemicals to make, they go and create some kind of deadly cells. They are aware of all these things.
Some persons who may have bought fruits from those selling, they complained about the fruit looking right on the outside, but inside is not right.
But, how can you give person poison? It's a poison now. When you give person something you did not ripe, carbide, and poison, it's poison now.
And now we move to business. Southwest Airlines has announced a ban on charging devices using portable chargers stored inside carry-on luggage, citing the risk of lithium batteries overheating or catching fire. In a statement, the airline said the new rule will require passengers to keep portable chargers visible when in use. The regulation will come into force on all Southwest flights from Wednesday next week. In entertainment, a new video has shown Nigerian music star Davido dining with High Life legend Bright Chimezie in Lagos. The two were seen at a restaurant sharing a meal and enjoying light moments together. This comes after Davido invited the veteran singer to Lagos, sparking appreciation from fans on social media. And now in sport, former Brentford striker Ivan Toney has been recalled to England's squad for next month's matches against Andorra and Senegal. It is a first call-up for the 29-year-old since he moved to Saudi Arabian club Al Ahly from the Bees last summer.
And now, we'll bring you news from around the world.
About 130 lorries carrying humanitarian aid have crossed into the Gaza Strip 3 days after Israel eased an 11-week blockade. The Palestinian Health Ministry says 29 people have died in Gaza of starvation-related deaths this week, whereas Israeli officials say there is no food shortage in Gaza at this time. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu slammed the leaders of the UK, France and Canada, saying they effectively said they want Hamas to remain in power. His statement comes after the Western leaders condemned Israel's expanded military operation in Gaza.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
That's a wrap on the news this afternoon. Before we go, let's have a look at the major stories. Rivers Sole Administrator has announced plans to rehabilitate the state secretariat. Stakeholders are reacting as President Tinubu yesterday presented the 2025 Rivers budget to the National Assembly. All Rivers emergency suits have been transferred from Port Harcourt to Abuja. Now, the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu says oil production will resume in Ogoniland soon. On the foreign scene, about 130 lorries carrying humanitarian aid have crossed into the Gaza Strip 3 days after Israel eased an 11-week blockade. The news was edited by Constance Irele-Mega. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808-721-7215. I'm Ifechukwu Moyeli. Many thanks for listening.